Hello, everybody. I have a pleasure to talk with Stephen Woloshen, who is a guest of the Animator Film Festival in Poznan. I'm pleased to have an opportunity to talk with him for a couple of minutes. Hello, Stephen.
Hi.
Hi. Well, the first question I'd like to ask you is, is in general, what do you think about non-camera techniques? And because it's a kind of return to older times, it's a kind of going back in time, and in the modern times when we use computer technologies, I'm curious about a thing like that. Is the using of non-camera techniques, is it a kind of limitation for an artist, or it may produce even more creative attitude to art? What is your opinion on that?
Well, you sort of asked all the questions all at once.
Maybe.
But let me try to sum it up. Is that, and I'll use the analogy of the blues. You know, remember the music form, the blues.
Yes.
And it seems that every generation, new generation rediscovers something that's been around for a long, long time. So the more I give these workshops and the more I show retrospectives of my films, and the more I talk about this sort of film technique, the more I'm coming across people that have never heard of it before. So it may be old to me, and maybe to you, but there's a lot of people who have no idea that this ever existed, and they feel like they've discovered it for the first time. Just like people who feel like they've discovered certain music or certain artists, they figure that they're the first. And although the technique has been around, it seems that people have always got something to say with it, so long as they remember playing as a kid, or they remember being in school and learning something new. Everybody sits down and explores it the way they would want to do it. And there's no two people that are exactly alike. So the future for cameraless animation just seems to be the future curiosity of people themselves. And I think this is a really good example of people's curiosity solidified in an art form. It used to be that people were always curious about the daguerreotypes.
That's right.
And every time you don't think you're going to hear about it anymore, you hear about it again. And I think this is a good analogy for people's curiosity. It's painting on film.
Yeah. Well, you have a great opportunity to also talk with other people about the non-camera animation techniques you use, because you are a teacher, and you also make workshops for people. And what is your experience with the people who are just coming to the workshops and they are discovering the...
I'm always encouraging people that, one, I'm not a teacher. Two, I'm just helping everybody to basically share. And I think that's what we do in art, is that we share. All the art forms together, they all have something in common, is that you and me and everybody, we share words to try to explain them. We share words to explain to each other what we're doing. And we share our techniques with each other. And I think that's what keeps art forms going. Everybody who's here, you notice that it's not set up like a traditional classroom. We have everything on one long table. So people get to see what everybody else is doing, and they trade techniques. And I think that's the way art used to be, and maybe that's the way art should be. I think in animation today, there's a great habit of working alone in front of a computer, and then maybe showing it to your producer or your boss, or when it's done, and then having to revise it. But here we have a completely different module, which is that we're always sharing as we're going. And what I've been doing now is I've been digitizing the work on Dragon Frame, and as an ongoing exquisite corpse, which means that everybody's work gets added to one great grand work, and to see it, they get to see it over and over, and they get to see how it plays with other people's materials. So they're all participants in one big film, and they all have to share the same tools. They have to share the same material to reach that goal. And it's usually a very positive experience.
Yes. And to what extent are the workshops inspirational for you also?
Well, I see a lot of techniques that I've never really considered myself. It's like everybody spends enough time here starts very modestly, very conservatively, and then they start to branch out. And next thing they know, they're like all over the floor and they're trying new things, and it costs them almost nothing to do it. And so I really get a great deal of pleasure seeing people just spreading their wings in a very short period of time, and probably going home tonight, thinking about it some more, coming back tomorrow with a whole new set of ideas. So it's really exciting to see for me to see them take so much pleasure in it.
Okay. Well, I also wanted to ask you some different, let's say, subject. A question about different subject is because after seeing your films, I'm really interested in the way how you put the music, put the soundtrack to your films, because I think that the visual part of your films, the images, are really great, connected in a very great way. So how do you, if you could share with us, how is your work process about the putting a music or sounds to your films?
Well, for 95% of my films, the sound comes first. I search for decades looking for music that I really, really enjoy. And then I listen to them, I think about it for a few years, and I try to imagine what they would be like visually. So when the music comes first, what I do is I spend a lot of time measuring the parts that I like, picking the specific instruments that I want to animate to, and then I just sit down for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and try to visualize it. But it's definitely me searching for as much music as I can possibly find, storing it away in my mind and on my shelves at home, and picking the kind of music that I want to tackle. And usually it's not always one particular music or another. It could be Western, it could be jazz, it could be classical. But if it really interests me, maybe 10 years ago, I'll just keep it in my mind for like 10 years, 5 years, and then suddenly it ends up on film.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with a special and particular musicians? When for example, you were inspired by their music and you wanted to put an image also to express something?
Well, a lot of times the music is made by people who made it that maybe 50, 75 years ago. Music that's quite old. There are the instances where the film starts off silent, and I want to hire somebody that I could work with and that I could talk to about creating a special soundtrack. I mean, that's only 5% of my films, but the rest of them, the music did exist first, and it existed a long time ago. And most of the people that made it are no longer alive. But I think it's nice that I'm not limited by time, and I'm not limited by geography, so I could just go pick through the history of the world of music, anything that I want.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
For the conversation, for the interview. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and bye. Enjoy.